Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be working on the R18 out here. Need to get some new tires on it. It's got snow tires on it, but the front passenger is flat. So we're going to be putting on these, see, what are they here? There we go. They are Continental Extreme Contact DWS 225/45s. So I'm going to be getting these put on today, and then we also have to either replace the battery or the alternator, because this charging system, there we go, words when you just wake up are great, is not charging properly. So like if I drive it around more than 5-10 minutes, the lights and everything on the dash start flickering and all that good stuff. So we're gonna fix that. I'll be back with you. Well, first things first, there you can see that tire is just flat. Back was still holding up all right. I don't know what I could have hit to cause it, but something happened. As you can see, it needs to be charged up a little. It hasn't been driven in about, oh, I'd say 2 or 3 months. So I haven't even started it. We're charging it up a little bit, and hopefully this will get it started, and then we can test to see if the battery is better or if it's the alternator. So we went and got a new battery. As you can tell, obviously, it's now running. And now we're going to check the alternator and make sure it is putting out proper power. Because the battery light, maybe hard to hear me over the motor. You come in here, you see, there we go, honking horns. The battery light is still on, which means there's an issue with the charging system. The battery alternator is bad, most likely, but we're gonna check it. So we got the ground over here, got the output of the alternator here. Can't really see on kind of the light. That's the wire coming off of the alternator, runs all the way around to the battery, and we're getting 0. We're getting absolutely no charging coming out of the alternator. So now we need an alternator as well. We got everything loaded up in the SI. We got 2 wheels in the front seat, we got the 4 new tires in the back seat, and we got 2 wheels in the trunk. So now let's go get them to the shop, and then on the way back we'll probably grab an alternator and replace the alternator and the R18 as well. It's an expensive day for the R18. Good times. We got the new tires and wheels up to discount tire to get put on. We stopped on the way back and we picked up a new alternator. So we'll be getting this on here soon as Evan, the oldest child, whose this car will be eventually when he turns 16, when he gets home, we will be swapping out the alternator so he can learn how to do it. So now the little punk's here, we start working on this. The tensioner, you look here too, Evan, is this bolt right there. It's kind of sticking out beside the belt. You see it?
Yeah.
It's a 19mm. It's a hydraulic tensioner.
What now?
Exactly. Don't worry about it. You'll learn about it later if you really need to. So we're going to push that back, and then we can slip the belt off.
Again, how do you do that?
I'll show you.
Okay.
All right, so once you have the belt off, these connectors here, and then this kind of wiring harness that you need to take off. Once you get those off, you have a bolt back here, which you can't really see because there's not enough lighting, and there's another one down at the bottom. Show you a little easier here. So kind of, all right, just come here. You just sit there. So you got this bolt matches up with here. You got the connector, and all your attachment points for the heat shields and whatnot. Then you have a bolt that goes through here at the top, and then another one that goes through down here at the bottom. Once you get that all disconnected, you can pull the old one out, put the new one in, and you'll be good to go. So once you get all the connectors off, that we've got here, see?
Yes.
See all the connectors off? We've got the wiring harness disconnected as well from the bracketry. You can get to these, I believe they are 12mm bolts, and just pull this unit off. And we swap over the heat shielding, put the new one on. Easy, right?
I don't know.
Yes, it is. We got all the bracketry swapped over. Got the punk child over here. Just laying on a skateboard. So now we're gonna get this back in the car and fire her up, and hopefully everything's running all right. The car's still not charging. That's after replacing the battery and the alternator. So we got a new cruise control switch here, but we also picked up a new ELD. Hopefully the ELD will be the deciding factor, because otherwise we've got to basically start tearing apart the harness to figure out where there's a wiring issue. So I'm going to swap out the ELD real quick, and then hopefully the stupid alternator will start charging the stupid battery. Alright, so we got the old ELD out. Wow, that is a pain. So that's the ELD right there, that little brown piece. So that connects to that clip right there, which is, as you can see, that fuse box is right here. So you have to get the top half of the fuse box out without messing up any of these pins here, so you can replace the ELD, and then you have to get it all back together without bending or breaking any of the pins again. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do now. Alright, so we've got it all back together. It is definitely a pain, but it's there, so hopefully that's all we need to do, and the car will now charge itself. So we got everything put back together. Still no good. Getting charged from the alternator. It's not good, but it is charging. I'm getting about showing like 11.8 volts coming off of it when I test right off of the post there to the negative of the battery. Tested the ohms between the alternator and the battery, and it's showing 0, which seems a little odd. It's showing that it's connected, but there's no resistance at all through the wiring, which doesn't make any sense. There should be some kind of resistance. Tested it on continuity with the voltmeter, and it also shows it's got a full connection between. It beeps just like it's supposed to when it has a good connection. So at this point, it looks like I'm gonna have to start ripping apart the wiring harness. Unfortunately, I do not want to do that, but it's the last thing that I can think of to do. The fuses are all good. The ECU or fuse box here is good. The fuses inside are good. The battery's good. The fucking alternator is I don't know. The alternator could be an issue, but it's not putting out. I mean, even if it is doing a not charging as much as it should, not putting out as much voltage as it should, that voltage still is not getting to the battery. Because I just had it running for a minute. This was consistently putting out 11.8 or so, and right before I shut it off, the battery was down to 9.8 or 9.6, something like that. So somewhere in this setup, the voltage is not getting to the battery. So we'll be messing with that next. Well, so as you can see, started tearing apart the wiring harness. Got all this de-loomed so far. And got the intake box out so I could get to a lot of the parts, or a lot of the stuff I need to get to. And then I got to this little junction box piece of crap. And it is ungodly awful to take apart. I've got, you can see the front half is taken apart here, but there's stuff on the back half that I can't really get to back there, mainly because of this harness here, which doesn't really have a good way of disconnecting and giving me some slack. It goes, you can see this wire here goes down somewhere, and I haven't jacked up the car to try and figure that out yet. But I did check the ohms resistance of the alternator charge power cable, whatever you want to call it. And it is showing resistance now, unlike before where it was showing 0 ohms. It's now showing 0.5, 0.6 ohms. So I don't know. We're going to keep digging further into it, and well, we'll see what happens. So we got everything back together. Did a bunch of checks on some of the wires, as much as I could get to without completely, basically pulling the motor and pulling the harness apart. At this point, all the wires I checked seemed good. Before, I was getting 0 ohms resistance between the battery and the alternator. Now I'm at least getting something somewhere between 0.3 to 0.5 ohms resistance. Still not a lot, but at least there's something. I checked what I could with continuity with the connectors here to make sure there was some kind of to make sure they were reading properly, as much as I could with what I could tear apart. There's a big chunk of wiring harness that's way down here. You're not gonna be able to see it, but yeah, kind of right there by no, not even close. But there's a big chunk of wiring harness down there that you can't really tear apart without pulling the entire wiring harness out of the vehicle. So at this point, I honestly don't know. I may take it to a shop to see if they can figure something out, or I may buy a whole new wiring harness, or I may just let it sit. Don't mind the mess there, that's from this disaster. Or I may just decide to buy a new motor for that, put that motor in here. But I really don't know. I mean, in all reality, it shouldn't have anything to do with the ECU or the body control module or anything like that. So, kind of at a loss. Unfortunately, there's not much else I can do at this point to kind of try and fix it. So, who knows? I may just get rid of the car and buy another one. Buy another SI, just a 4-door instead of a 2-door like this one. Because I started a new job and I'm doing a lot of driving. Like, I've driven probably 3,000 miles in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I can't be putting that kind of mileage on this car. It's not built for it. So, well, usually I'll have my videos with Raise the Bar. This one, I'm going to end with burn it down, because this is just no fun. See you guys next time.